Welcome, absolutely welcome to everybody. This is the very first ever Post Growth Entrepreneurship Demo Day. So we've got a really amazing cohort of 12 startups. So this also is the very first time ever that we've done this. I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction, but first we've got a bit of an exercise for all of you. So just to make this interactive, since you all are also super welcome, and we hope to make this more active than passive. We are going to start our day and start this demo day with easing in slowly and sort of checking in with ourselves and where we're at now. So Charlotte, would you mind explaining what we're going to start out with?
Yes, I will explain. We will now do a check-in, which is a kind of special form of literally checking in with yourself and with each other. So even though we're in a digital space, we're gathering here together with different people from all over the world. And it's very nice to actually feel and see, okay, how am I sitting here and how are my people sitting here? How does it work? It's a very simple method. One person talks and the other people just listen. And that sounds very simple, but it's harder to do than you think. So really let one person talk and not interrupt in any way. You just share whatever you feel like sharing. It can be short, it can be long, but it's really about how are you sitting here, what's going on right now on your mind. There's no fixed order, but popcorn style. Whenever you feel like talking, you start talking. And when you are done talking, you say check-in, signaling that's the end. Since we are with so many people, we will not do a check-in with all of us together, but we will now move into breakout rooms where we will check in with a smaller group. Okay, so I will now create the breakout rooms. Okay, so good luck and with checking in. Yeah.
Hoi.
Hi.
Great. Checking in. My name is Monica. Well, a bit nervous because public speaking is not my thing.
I'm feeling pretty excited, and if I'm honest, I'm feeling a little anxious about presenting today.
Okay, I know I'm super nervous now, so I'm very happy I'm just with the two of you in the breakout room.
Okay, that's how I feel right now. Yeah, gosh, we've been busy for the last 10 weeks on this, and today is like the really big culmination. So I am nervous, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. So
no, but it feels very special because it's been quite a journey in the past 10 weeks together. And now I've sympathy with you. I feel, we're three very beautiful women doing all kind of work in our own little part of the world. So that's a very nice feeling. Check in.
That's it. Check in.
Checking in.
Checking in.
So welcome to our demo day. Of course, you know, how is this demo day different from all other demo days? That's probably the big question for most of you that are here. For those of you who have heard my TEDx Berlin talk, I start by asking the questions, you know, what if business were the most powerful form of activism? What if business were a mixed media for art? Or what if business were a vehicle for spirituality or creative expression? Sounds really crazy, but this is not the kind of angle that you get at most startup incubators. I can tell you this because I know this from personal experience. Radically Open Security, which is my own company, was also incubated at an incubator at the Amsterdam Center for Entrepreneurship, which I have to say is actually one of my favorite incubators. They're an academic incubator that's part of the academic, well, basically the university and college system of the city of Amsterdam. I'm super grateful for the incubation that I got there. But when I first showed up, the very first thing that I got shoved in front of my nose was a PowerPoint slide with an exponential curve on it. Because there is this common, misconception really that, that incubation is capital scale exit. In other words, you have to start with venture capital. You have to grow exponentially 3 to 5 years, basically to get to the point where you can exit, and then exit, of course, being IPO, selling your company, these kinds of options. I wasn't really all that into that, and I got into the angle also from computer security, with seeing how honestly ethically bankrupt a lot of commercial security companies are. And I've kind of figured out at a certain point that if you separated profit motive from the actual running of businesses, that ultimately you would be able to create sort of businesses that behave better. That was my hypothesis. In the course of running Radically Open Security, I decided I was going to give all of my profits to charity. So far, my company, Radically Open Security, has given over €500,000 to the NLNet Foundation. And NLNet is an internet-related charity that basically supports open source digital rights and anything for a better internet. My company, long story short, got pretty big, not even because I meant it to, but we've got about 40 staff members. We've been hired in by the European Commission to pen test COVID contact tracing apps, among other things. We're a preferred supplier for Google, et cetera. But of course, I think the donation that we've made to charity is way more impressive. Now, after making a success out of my own business, I really wanted to know, like, how can I help other people do the same? Turns out that I was not the first person to have these ideas. At a certain point, I discovered Muhammad Yunus, who, I'm sure I was the last person to discover Muhammad Yunus, being that he's a Nobel Prize winner and he invented microfinance and everything. But, and I discovered his concept of social business. He has this book called Building Social Business, and he defines social business as, and I quote, no dividend companies for solving human problems. So the world jumped on the whole solving human problems bit, but the no dividend bit, kind of got swept underneath the carpeting. And, thus, leading to the social enterprise ecosystem, which basically included things like impact investors and B corporations, either getting sold to Unilever or nowadays getting taken over by activist investors. I'm sure all of you have seen the, the news about what happened to Danone recently with their CEO getting removed. It's crazy. And if we're trying to build better social enterprises, well, you're not going to get, these kinds of activist takeovers or perverse incentivization if you never had an IPO to begin with. In other words, if you don't sell control of your company, you're never going to lose control over your company, which means that it's much, much easier in the long run to be able to maintain the mission, to prevent mission drift, and to prevent, third-party influences from being able to push you in a more commercial direction. So that's really the whole idea. So separating profit motive from the operational vehicle of business. But the problem is this whole Silicon Valley model, we are getting this from every incubator out there and every business school, which really led to the question of how can we reinvent the startup ecosystem? There's also a lot of post-growth economists that have been doing absolutely amazing work talking about, like Tim Jackson saying, how can we have prosperity in an economy without growth? You've got Kate Rayworth, who's asking similar questions, and also like her TED Talk with her example of a tree. Why is it that businesses, have exponential growth curves when nature has flat growth curves? So we wanted to put together an incubator that, pushes startups towards flat growth curves rather than towards exponential ones. And there's 3 basic principles of post-growth entrepreneurship that we're teaching here in this incubator. The first principle is bootstrapping. So in other words, no investment capital. So no VCs, no angels, preferably no subsidies even. The reason is why? Because also big capital injections are a distraction from a good value proposition and a solid business model. So, but also it keeps these perverse incentives out of your company. The second principle is flat growth, which I've already explained, a la Kate Rayworth. The third principle, and this is really a big one, is non-extraction. And of course, it's precisely the economists, the Tim Jacksons and the Douglas Rushkoffs, that are out there that are highlighting the issue of financial extraction from the economies. And it's financial extraction from businesses that are creating that same extraction from the economy. So if we want to implement a post-growth economy, we need to do this by building more post-growth businesses, because it's really great to have things like our city donuts, but then after we have them, the next step is, how do we put this into practice? How do we take that next step to be able to translate it from a theoretical architecture, which is a great architecture, absolutely, but how do we put it into action? And that is what this incubator and also this demo day is about. So we have been developing all kinds of educational materials and also a community. We've been doing this under the name of Nonprofit Ventures. A lot of what we're doing is also documented at our website, postgrowthentrepreneurship.com. We created a pilot course at the Free University of Amsterdam that I have to say, Post-Growth Entrepreneurship is now worth 6 European credit points at the FU in the business school. So we're already starting to have some influence on what they're teaching. We're also working right now with the University of Amsterdam on a MOOC version of the same course. So these are projects in progress. Back in March, right before the COVID lockdowns, we had a startup boot camp for 1 week. This was physical and a physical event, back while it was still possible, on the Dutch island of Terschelling. Basically, what this 1 week startup bootcamp was a combination of a personal development retreat and a startup bootcamp, if you can imagine that. If you look at the photos, you can sort of see what I mean, because upper left, you have Claire, who was one of our founders. She was there working on her business model canvas. Underneath that, second to the left, you've got folks walking on the beach in the dunes. Underneath the bottom left, you have folks meditating, including their Charlotte, so top right, some more business model canvases. In the evening, we were hanging out next to a fireplace. Also, lots of good books and reading recommendations. And if you look at some of these books here, it's not just the usual suspects like Lean Startup. Of course, Lean Startup is important, but we've also got things like Nonviolent Communications by Marshall Rosenberg, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, Reinventing Organizations by Frederic Laloux. So we're really trying to take the best of the modern business literature and also the more philosophical things like Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, and really trying to make that some of the required reading for trying to teach our next generation of startup founders. Which brings us to this group. So we have been working for the last 10 weeks very, very hard with this particular group. So they will be presenting their work to you today. And we're also extremely proud to say that this is a very international group. Out of these 12 startup founders, we have, of course, quite a few from Western Europe and the Netherlands, but we also have startup founders. We've got 2 that are in Spain, in the Catalonia region. We've got 1 from Nairobi, who we're very proud of, who's going to be presenting today. We've got also 1 from New Delhi, from India. We've got Richard, who is from California, not too far from Silicon Valley. So we're also, with the curse of having to do stuff on Zoom, every cloud has a silver lining, and this silver lining of how much, this sucky interface like Zoom is that we can get people together without geographic boundaries. So, in such a way, we have spanned almost half the world in time zones to be able to bring together a really diverse and really inspiring group of people who have helped each other the last 10 weeks to bring their startups to life. So this is really the question that I want to ask to all of you today, not just to the participants, but also to all of our attendees. How can we reinvent the startup ecosystem together? It needs reinventing. Reinventing economics already made the point that the economics curriculum at business schools needs an update. We need to do the same with entrepreneurship. And that's both with the MBA programs in business schools, as well as all of the incubators. And the more we can spread this word, the more we can make positive change, because, you know, the startups of today are the big companies of tomorrow. And almost everything in the world today is impacted either directly or indirectly by business. So that is the introduction to this incubator. I think now we can move on to the next part of the program.
Yeah, in which we will have Marnix, one of our participants of our program, who is a classical pianist, take us into a little bit of a different space. Marnix, would you like to do the introduction yourself of what we're going to experience right now?
Sure, Charlotte. Hi, everybody. Monix here, live from the south of Slovene, with a rented little Steinway in front of me. And I will be playing for you a little piece by the Dutch composer Simeon ten Holt. And that piece is called Aphorism number 2. And in Dutch, it's also called Oermelodie, which is to say that the canto ostinato later on developed from what you will be hearing now. Enjoy listening.
Thank you so much, Marnix. So I think it's time to get started. So first, we are going to start out with Chiara and also with her partner, Dick, you can also hear in the background, and they will be talking about Teeny Studio. So take it away, Chiara.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Chiara Treglia, and I'm lead strategy designer at Teeny Studio, the first post-growth design agency. I started this business because as a consumer, as a business, and as a designer myself, I don't want to choose anymore between profit or convenience versus doing the right thing. This is why at Teeny Studio we have this design approach called life-centric design, in which we put life, the collective, at the center of all we do. But what does it mean for business? We help our clients build an amazing legacy by challenging their business models and innovating their products and services through sustainable strategies. In practice, it looks like a co-creation process. We go from a big, ill-defined problem to a tested solution with an implementation strategy. And as you can see, these sessions with them are very energizing and they generate a lot of innovation. However, there is a problem. Some of our clients struggle to keep up with those innovations because in the end, it's Monday again with all the emails and meetings, and business as usual is so easy to fall back into. And this is why we're super proud to be here today, thanks to also Cultuur Eindhoven, Microlab, and the PGE Incubator, to present to you the solution that we figure out, Momentum Sprint, a digital-first service that helps teams remain aligned and focused on their sustainability goals until they're met. And this is how it works. This is Jolijn, and she's the CEO of a medium-sized logistic company. And just like any CEO, she's busy with the usual things. But she's becoming more and more aware of the fact that she wants to leave a positive legacy for the environment and for society with her business. So with this question in mind, she goes online and she finds Momentum Sprint, and she loves it. It's super straightforward. She just has to take a diagnostic test in which we collect information about her challenge and book her first sprint. The first sprint is amazing. The team comes together and brainstorm through the various steps until they land on a clear action plan in which each team member is accountable to keep working on. And this is how we get the ball rolling. From the first momentum sprint into the next sessions, the team, which are called retro sprints, the team visibly achieves results, which is what makes Jolijn super happy because she can see the difference where she started and where she's ending with. But this is not just in theory. We are actually already doing this with 3 amazing pilot companies, and you can already see the feedback from Scherp Online and Adapt, which already validated for us that our approach really go at the core of their business, while also creating the space for really asking the daring question about how they operate. And the cherry on top of our cake is that we're able, through technology, to bring in our network of consultants, sustainability consultants and innovation consultants, to really ask the daring questions for these clients. So this is what we think makes Momentum Sprint unique. It's designed to enable follow-through. Second of all, it's traceable and visible. By using Miro, the teams can really see each other's progress, and they can also share the results with the rest of the company. And lastly, it's affordable. We only charge our hours, while our tools, our methods, and our resources are available to anybody to use. Which brings me to our open source plan, which basically consists of us creating content that explains each of the steps of our Momentum Sprint approach. And once we have it all together, we'll be able to share it with the world for anyone who wants to explore this for themselves. The team behind this is my lead technologist and developer and also co-founder, Dick Rennings, and of course myself. And our question to you is can Momentum Sprint work for your organization? In other words, are you our next client? Or do you know anyone in your network that could be helpful or interested in what we're doing at Teeny Studio? We welcome all your feedback, and with this, I would like to thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Monica Mohoya and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, founder of Sister Speaks and Heals for Pads. Well, everyone knows about Kenya because, good beaches, safaris, but there's one problem that people don't talk about: teenage pregnancies. Annually, 12,000 girls end up being, and in the statistics of being ones who end up being ending up being pregnant. But since COVID, that number has tripled. So that is 6,000 girls. They have been, a statistics of teenage pregnancy. Why? Something we call sex for pads. My organization raises awareness on period poverty or inability to afford or access menstrual feminine products to manage your menstruation with dignity and honor. I founded Heals for Pads Foundation as a CSR project of Sister Speaks Global, and where I redistribute profits of Sister Speaks Global, which I'm going to talk about later, and they go towards raising awareness of period poverty, mentorship, and confidence building in these girls so that they can understand what is consent. According to UNICEF, 1.2 girls miss school. That's about 3 to 8 days of school days every month. That widens the gender gap. What is my organization doing? So we found a different way of raising awareness around this taboo topic, and I sell high heels, and I don't ask people for money. I ask people to pay me with sanitary pads. You might ask your question, why do I have to pay you with sanitary pads instead of money? Well, the idea is we need to talk about menstruation, and we need to debunk the myths and disseminate that menstruation is not supposed to be, a question. It doesn't have to conform in the culture of concealment, which is shame, stigma, and silence. I talk about Sister Speaks. It's the commercial platform where I can hear my echo. Kindly mute yourself. Thank you. So Sister Speaks is a mother organization that curates safe spaces for women to develop their voice and also to create a sisterhood where we go back to women and girls that typically don't have access to our events. And how do we do this? We curate markets such as flea markets where we encourage women entrepreneurs to come under the same roof to showcase their products and services, and we encourage other women to learn from their own experiences. I'm an African woman. You're supposed to be strong, right? At the end of the day, not every African woman is strong. We need some checking. That's why we curate a space that I can be able to express myself when I'm not feeling like myself. Like the way you're seeing me smile with my fellow sisters here who attended my first event of Sister Speaks. Solutions. The world that we found ourselves in because of COVID, we are now moving away from physical events, and my organization is curating webinars. We recently launched a Sister Speak show on an online radio platform to tap into a different geography and also to tap into women who typically don't live in Kenya and they would want to be involved in women empowerment. Also, because of restrictions around and containment measures around COVID, we collaborated with public spaces, that is malls, where we have a pop-up market and we have a volunteer who can tell our story in these malls. Oh, as you can see, those are beautiful volunteers selling our high heels and raising awareness on period poverty. Maybe you're wondering, why am I talking about events and sanitary pads at the same time? This is how Heals for Pads and Sister Speaks business model feed off each other. Sister Speaks is a commercial entity of my business. Heals for Pads is a non-profit entity of my organization. So to create a platform that women can come together without, to create a platform where women, whether you're a woman of a position of power or just a girl walking 40 kilometers to look for water in the north of Kenya, we curate a space where women can be heard, women can become, and a woman cannot miss an economic involvement or that opportunity to move her life to the next stage because of something as natural as menstrual products. And so far, we have impacted over 11,500 girls and traded 4,800 high heels. Our solutions include, we have been, when we started last year, due to COVID, we wanted to move away from disposable pads, and we started creating our own reusable pads. The reusable pads, we package it in a way that we call it a dignity kit. I can see the girls on the left, they're holding the Heels for Pads dignity kit. It contains a mask, a reusable mask, 2 panties, a soap, 3 months worth of disposable pads for the girls who don't have access to clean water, and a year-long supply of reusable pads for the girls who can access clean water to wash their reusable products. We found ourselves that this is not the only, we are not the only people who are raising awareness on this important issue. We found people in the Netherlands called Moja, where they redistribute their profit to a Tanzanian foundation by selling panties and also sending that a profit from those panties to Tanzania. So we decided to create a panty line with an African touch to tell the Kenyan story, and a Dutch touch where all the profits will be redirected to our respective foundation, which is the Moja Foundation in Tanzania and Heels for Pads in Kenya. I did mention among one of sustainable goal that we have is to mount dispensers in a school as a pilot to be able to make sure that girls can be armed at any time with a pad ATM. If you get your oops moment, you can go to a place where we have mounted the pad dispenser and you swipe and you get a sanitary towel. We also thought, we are in a menstrual movement where the world is talking about how important menstrual hygiene is. We found ourselves, expanding the base, how to tell our Kenyan story, and we have partnered with Kohelele, nice people from the Netherlands, raising awareness on sex education and its interlinkages on menstrual health. My ask today, did I catch your attention? Would you want to hear more about what we do? Maybe we can partner in terms of, women entrepreneurship or combating period poverty. Do you have skills that can be useful to our organization? Or do you feel this is an organization that you would want to give advisory? Or do you feel like your company can give us endorsement in terms of, you can endorse or sponsor our webinar, our YouTube channel, our online radio station? You're welcome to do so. Thank you. And in Swahili, I'll say asante sana.
Yeah, so Marnix is a classical pianist who is now living in Slovenia, and we're super proud of him because, one of the nice highlights of this program also is how we are helping to incubate fine artists and other creatives also as part of this program. Marnix has been a real asset to this program, and we're really super proud of him and to have him here to present for you today. So go ahead, Marnix.
Thank you. Hi, I am Marnix van der Pol, a free improvising classical pianist from Amsterdam. Music has the power to go straight to the heart, and I'm using my music as a means to an end to bring about more connectedness between people. For I believe we need that in a world that is increasingly more individualistic and disconnected. So through my foundation, Crazy Initiatives, I set up projects in special locations to connect people. For instance, Het Pianopontje, concerts I gave on the commuter ferry over the river in Amsterdam, Monday morning rush hour 7 a.m. After the weekend, people are grumpy, completely in their own bubble with their phone and their earplugs, and then I play. And people look up, smile, look around. Earplugs go out. Once more, they are connected to their surrounding. The Klingendaal concerts, open-air concerts in the Japanese garden, The Hague, based on the theme Rest and Balance in Your Life, needed to be connected to yourself. Nature gives you rest and balance, and also music contributes to that. Many times I've been artist in residence in the little house where the Dutch composer Simeon ten Holt lived and worked. He is famous for the canto ostinato. I just played a piece by him, Aphorism. I have a yearly concert series in his little house, and that's very successful. And then I do 24 concerts in 8 days. And my first CD consists of 3 improvisations I made during those concerts, and that gave me the opportunity to play for and being interviewed by national radio and television. Right now, as said, I am in the south of Slovene as an artist in residence. What got me here is the fence blocking immigrants. I think that's a crazy political deed. If you like it or not, throughout the world we are connected. And we are setting up a project here to celebrate that. Now, in line with Post Growth Entrepreneurship ideology, I am developing some new ideas, basically to be more self-sustainable, and here I can use your help. I am looking for strategic partnerships. For instance, sponsorships, marketing opportunities. We are setting up a big new project in 2022, and also this year there will be new things happening. Or business development, combining commercial activity with our projects. Or, number 3, very much PGE, cross-subsidizing, using commercial activity to support artistic or activistic goals like my foundation, Crazy Initiatives. So this is what I would like to ask you. Do you have contacts or ideas that could be useful for setting up strategic partnerships? Are you willing to brainstorm with me about that? And are you, or maybe you know of, a business that could cross-subsidize my foundation, Crazy Initiatives? Please go to my feedback forum. There you can leave your details and share your ideas. And there you can also sign up for my newsletter if you want to stay updated about our projects. And on the feedback forum you find a bonus question, and that is, does anybody know Keith Jarrett? The master improviser Keith Jarrett. If you can connect me to him, you make my day. Thank you for listening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Marnix.
Greetings, everybody. I have a small question for you. Raise of hands. How much do you know about beer? Any beer nerds out there? Don't worry, it's not important. All you need to know is that it's delicious and great to share with friends. Little bit about me. I'm Suzanne. I'm the founder of Moondance Brewing Company. I've been brewing for about 25 years. I'm a chemical engineer, so brewing came kind of naturally to me. It's a little bit of art, it's a little bit of science, and a whole lot of magic. I have about 4 years ago, I started Moondance Brewing Company to make my hobby a little bit, to up the game a bit. And I have brewed a couple of commercial batches with our local contract brewery in the neighborhood. Shout out to Case at North Hollandse Beer Brouwerij. And we now have a small test lab in Akersloot, North Holland, where we have a capacity of about 40 liters. The Moondance experiment is a post-growth model, which means we bootstrap, we grow by gaining customers, we hope to distribute profits when we make profits back into the community and to build a legacy. So starting where we are, we have formed a club. It's called the Moondance North Holland Beer Club, where we every month send a package of beer to our members, the Moondance Beer of the Month, plus one guest star beer from a local brewer. And then we have an online tasting party, and it's a whole lot of fun. We had our first one in March, and I would say it was a pretty good success. So the contract brewing is, of course, very advantageous in many ways. However, it requires a big commitment, a big batch commitment, and it kind of lacks flexibilities, and it makes experimentation a lot more difficult. So part of the plan with the club is that we do lots of different things. We get to vote on what kind of beer we want to make, and having a smaller scale situation makes it easier to do that. So our plan is to start in our test lab, which we are now certifying so that we can actually sell the beer that we make there, and then build in modules as the demand for our beer increases. In addition to that, we are cooperating with local restaurants and cafes to make special house beers for them. And last year, we made a special event beer for the Society of Petroleum Engineers for their 60th anniversary. So we also would like to brew for special occasions like birthdays, parties, company get-togethers, so things like that. The ultimate dream for Moondance is to have a space, to have a place where we can all gather that centers around beauty, the brewery, a beer garden, maybe some farm-to-table food, and maybe even a learning lab, art gallery, bed and breakfast. The sky's the limit. If you would like to join in the journey, we would love to have you join our club. We'd also really like to have some like-minded partners that could help us with the hard stuff, like growing, legal matters, etc. We'd also really love to have some corporate sponsors that could help us grow by committing to having some beer at your company functions. I want to thank all of you, and please visit us at moondancebrewing.nl. Thank you.
So hi everyone, here is Alessandro, and I'm the founder of Co-Emerge, which is the brand name for the services I offer and that I developed with thanks to the incubator as well. And today I want to bring you through a bit of a story and the why and the how I envision Co-Emerge to be helpful for a post-growth entrepreneurship future. So I will start with myself, this little cute boy. I've always been a dreamy person with big ambitions since I was a little kid. Um, yeah, so apart from like trying to make these two animals sort of become friends, which I guess was successful, I think the first thing that really sort of got me the why was my grandma. When I was very young, she wisely said, "Hey, Alessandro, you know, your name actually in Greek means protector of humans." And I thought at the time, I was like, what? Wow, okay, so I'm gonna be protecting humans in my future. And I guess like that sort of non-rationally had quite some influence when I then decided to join law school and complete a degree in law. And while I was studying all these difficult books about tax and about civil rights and all that, I felt like I need this why, this ambition, this purpose that I've been looking for so much. I needed to be present and fired up. And somehow, I can't even remember how I found this quote from Mahatma Gandhi, who was actually a lawyer for 20 or 30 years, who said, in the first sentence is something that I want your attention on, is he said, "I realized the true function of a lawyer was to unite parties river as under." So that was it. So what I was there to learn was about bringing people together, bringing them to, even in conflict and disagreement, trying to bring them together constructively so they could bring new, novel solutions to the world. This quote was so powerful for me that I printed it out and put it on a wall in the first job and law firm where I was working at. This was day one. Day two, our weather was very different. So what I've sort of faced was a business model, a corporate sort of environment whereby the individual success was rewarded at the expense of the whole. So, or exponential growth and accumulation and so on were rewarded, even if those sort of business model were having some externalities on the environment and on the customers, on the employees that were working for that company. Then I moved to working with startups, thinking like, well, the big corporates work this way, probably the startups would work differently, and they look at like solving real problems, when actually that was not the case. The same mentality was applying in the startup innovation scene. So I was there to help that from happening, and I did that for 5 years, to the point where I figured out, look, we're trying to solve very complex issues. We cannot do that with a mentality of profit accumulation, success of one individual company. We need a shift. We need a new mindset for it. Because the issues are too complex for one head or a few heads or just an extractive business model to fix it, or actually that's also the cause of it, of course, as it's apparent right now. So the shift in mindset is about integrating new perspective, bringing people together in a new whole so that they can function the same way our body functions. Our organs are not conflicting with each other when we're walking around and digesting and so on. So how can we bring people together? That needs to be happening first at the individual level and then a collective level. And the more I looked deep into this question, the more I actually turned to nature for answer, because nature has the beautiful way in which it brings diversity together. And I thought, why can't we just sort of like biomimic the way we collaborate with each other by looking at how nature works? Because although capitalism tried to sort of like do the same, it just cherry picked a few things and build a business model that is about the survival of the fittest and win-lose dynamics. But nature is telling us a very different story. It's about symbiotic relationships. It's about synergies. It's about new properties, new development. It's about qualities, not quantities. So not accumulation, but distribution. So all these thoughts brought me to co-emerge which is myself offering these three different sort of services. There is a personal development side where I work with individuals to broaden their perspective and become better leaders, and also bring their intuitions and their purpose to life in a better way, and work through resistances that might bring them to more of a scarcity mentality. To the group level, where I work with either teams or collaborators to help them develop a shared intention and shared action, so that they can go through conflicts in a much more in a much better way. Instead of breaking up, they could actually use conflicts for creating new solutions. And then on the right side, you've got the governance and more contractual relationship building, which is the thing that I've most experience with. But here is the difference. If a lawyer usually represents one party, and then you've got a lawyer on the other side, what I would do, I will represent the relationship between two people, between two people cooperating, so that I could construct and help them construct a more mutual contractual relationship. So what I'm looking for is just for people that, if anything got triggered after this presentation, and if you're looking for collaborating with others and you're finding it difficult, please reach out. I would love to hear what's meaningful to you, what is that you want to achieve through collaboration, or if you know anyone that could be interested in these services, that would be great. So I will be dropping the form right now, and you can type your name and your interest there. Thank you so much.
My name is Patrick Holcher, and I'd like to just take a brief 5 minutes to tell you about the business I co-founded, which is a new, different type of production company. But firstly, I'd like to ask you, what is a business, if not an answer to a question? And the burning question on my mind was, how can I keep doing the things I love, the things I feel are important and give me meaning? And for me, that thing is to share stories. And for the last few years, I felt compelled to explore stories focused on the growing climate crisis and the many connected environmental challenges we're all facing, as the climate is set to become a defining part in everyone's story. Stories like Karina's. Karina is a climate activist from Leicester in the UK. One day she joined some friends to attend a protest, but quickly discovered that she had a passion for climate activism and ended up becoming a coordinator in the British student climate strike movement. Karina is everything the media tend to forget or overlook. She's working class, Indian, and a girl with learning difficulties. Her family in India is affected by this. So for her, the climate crisis is deeply personal. Meet Jeremy. He grew frustrated with his job in local government as he felt the authorities were failing to communicate climate change to the community, in particular to children and young people. So Jeremy studied a course in climate science and found like-minded people with whom he created the world's first climate change-focused comic book. And while they managed to find a publisher, they offered little in the way of publicity for what is still a first of its kind. And finally, meet Ines. She's an artist who collaborated with scientists from King's College London to build an installation that is able to create past and future weather scenarios to experience firsthand. Ines and the team want more people to visit the installation. However, in order to make the installation travel and go to places, including the upcoming climate change conference in Glasgow, they need to raise more funds and get the word out. So this takes me back to the how. How can I keep making films about these amazing and important stories and help produce the dozens and dozens just like it from around the world? But documentary film funds are scarce, and governmental and other financing streams are constantly getting cut. I wanted to create and share stories in a self-sustaining way. I've worked in the film and media industry for over 9 years, and I knew this could be done. Specifically, I produced videos in and around economics for years, but ironically saw the majority of the value created extracted rather than reinvested. The how became a lot clearer when I met Max. Max is a scientist who's worked on research around climate change for universities, think tanks, charities, and broadcasters. He's convinced communication is key in tackling this crisis, and he's eager to explore the use of moving images to connect people with stories that matter. I knew together we had a unique proposal for organizations: work with experts from the field of video communication and climate science on any project that addresses in any way the environmental challenges we're all facing, and by doing that, the organization and everyone in it also makes it possible so that more stories, like those stories from Karina, Jeremy, and Ines, can be told. It was then still a daring proposal, and it was, after all, we're just a couple of guys with an idea. And I think what's needed in that kind of situation more than anything is a woman who can make sure stuff happens. Meet Rachel. Rachel is an experienced digital content producer who's worked on a broad range of campaigns for clients, ranging from startups to governmental departments. She knows exactly how important video has become to corporate communications, how much more potential there still is, and how to convince organizations to focus on creative storytelling to achieve their goals. Ultimately, Rachel, Max, and I came together to found In Our Nature, or ION for short, as a new, different type of production company, in that it is a network of like-minded individuals and experts across communication and climate science. But we're also, importantly, a not-for-profit business, since all our profits are reinvested in producing films in and around the climate crisis. And we don't just talk the talk, we also practice what we preach. Our mantra is big impact with a small footprint, which means we're constantly seeking to innovate our own processes and work towards being a carbon neutral and ultimately net zero company. Practically, that means our office is powered by renewable energy, our transport is always electric where possible, our meals are plant-based, and single-use plastic is banned from our sets. We're always working with a number of certification bodies to make sure we're on the right track, specifically the Green Film Fund. This way, we can ensure to be a carbon-free asset in your value chain. We're currently working with a major higher education institution in the UK on their communication, but we'd be very interested to hear from you next, whether you're a nature-based charity, an NGO, a research institute, or commercial business with an innovative product or service focused on sustainability. We're seeking to work with any organization that is looking to communicate environmental messages or produce video in a sustainable way. And the data that underpins our proposition is clear. On the one hand, video is the most popular online content type across the board and still growing in popularity, as visitors are 2.5 times more likely to spend longer on any website with video content. And on the other hand, 88% of consumers want brands to help them live more ethical and sustainable lifestyles, while 83% of millennial and Gen Z job seekers say they are far more likely to join a company that helps them contribute to social and environmental causes. How is your organization telling its clients or users that you're aware of their demands and working towards this goal? And how is your organization going to reassure its most valuable asset, its workforce, that it is meeting that challenge? That is where we, as In Our Nature, see our place and purpose: to create compelling, sustainable communications for organizations and to produce inspiring films that tell the most important stories in our great shared struggle with the climate crisis. Finally, in the chat, I'll be sharing a link to my feedback form for this presentation. And if you're interested, I would highly appreciate your contact details, as well as any questions, comments, or recommendations. In particular, we're interested in being connected with communications and commissioning officers to sustainability leads, as well as head of environmental departments. Thank you for your time.
My name is Gijsbert, I'm Dutch, and I'm living in Catalonia in Spain. And before I talk about our initiative in Romania, I want to go back a little bit to what we've been doing in Spain, because it's closely connected to that. Here you see a guy sitting in the middle. That's myself with some friends and colleagues and friends of friends. And this is how we started in Spain. And we started with an energy cooperative with the aim to start producing ourselves electricity from solar, wind, and hydro, and also with the aim to sell that electricity to our members. And when we got started, people from the cooperative, let's say, world said, yes, but how can you compete as a little cooperative with no specific knowledge, with no money, with these very big multinational companies that dominate this sector. In Spain, there are two companies that have 85% of the market, and Endesa and Iberdrola, and they make a few billion euros a year in profit. So how are you going to compete with them? Well, fortunately, we didn't know too much in the beginning when we got started. Probably we would have thought too much about it. We would have gotten scared a little bit ourselves. But we just got started, and we started organically. We got our own license to operate in the market, which in Europe is not so complicated. Everybody can get a license. There are a few conditions, but nothing special. And we started selling electricity. And after about 3 years, we reached break even with about 6,000-7,000 members. And at this moment, this was from about 2 weeks ago, we have 71,000 members in Spain, and we are managing 125,000 contracts. So we've gotten quite big, and we're one of the top 10 from a number of contracts, one of the top 10 players in the Spanish market. And the way we got there was basically through this. Our members are happy. They're satisfied with the services that we provide. We have the highest level, and it's continuously every year, we have the highest level of customer satisfaction in the market. And that is because, first of all, we're not there to screw them. You know, the big multinational companies have a lot of kind of different tariffs. They have offers and special deals and everything. But finally, if you're a sleeping customer, as they call you, then after 1 year, once the offer expires, they will get it back twice they will get it back double from you. We don't do that. We don't see communication with our customers as a cost. We see it as essential. We see it as essential to make our clients and our customers part of the energy transition. So we have to inform them, because once they're informed, they can also be more political active and be let's say, a better contributor to the whole energy transition, the whole discussion, because all the decisions we're making right now will influence the energy system that we will have in 2 or 3 decades. So in short, what we want is people to have skin in the game, as some investment guru calls it. We want them to be actively involved. And once you're actively involved, and I've noticed that myself when I started to produce solar power back in 2008, it was fantastic. You know, you're a power producer. It's something different to be a producer and actively involved and just read a newspaper article on solar, because it doesn't mean the same thing to you. So we are motivated by the need to speed up the energy transition. We are very well aware that there are a lot of interest and within society, and a lot of these interests are not the same. You know, the interest of a coal power station is to just keep burning coal, and the interest of us is to stop them doing it. And you can't do everything. So there is a conflict in society, and we want to get broad societal support to switch to renewables. Fortunately, we're not alone.
Just a heads up, we have 1 more minute, Gijsbert.
Okay, there are 2,000 energy corps around Europe, but hardly anyone in Central and Eastern Europe. And that's where we come in. Adrian and myself, and we started with 15 people in Romania. And basically, we took the model from Spain and adapted it to Romania. And because the Romanian market is much smaller than the Spanish market, we had to find a way to speed up, to overcome these 3 years of startup losses. So in Spain, we are now 472 members. And in Spain, we decided to take over an existing electricity company. There was an opportunity coming along, and we could buy an existing energy retailer with about 4 million euros in sales, which is just enough to operate in this market. And we're now crowdfunding through our members. We're at 50% of the 400,000 euro takeover. price that we need. And our members get a reasonable return on it, roughly similar to government bonds. And we will refocus the business to serve our members. What we need more is more contacts, more members, more organizations, and especially in Romania that are in your network that might be interested to join and support our initiative. So this is where we are. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to share any other details on a one-to-one basis.
First of all, thank you so much for coming to our demo day today. Like Charlotte mentioned, I'm Shantan. This is my co-founder Mukul, and we are tuning in from New Delhi, India. But before we get into our presentation, we have an invitation for you. If you could maybe close your eyes for a while, maybe in 3, 2, 1, thank you. We like to take you back to your childhood, when you were a little kid. How did the world around you look like? What did you see? What did it make you feel about? It make you feel happy, curious, joyful? And what do you need from the world? Attention, maybe, a little play here and there. How did it make you feel? And how did you go around the world asking that from the world? Did you hesitate, or did you just walk up to anybody who you saw and just found your way with them? Now, as you spend the last couple of moments in your child reveling, if I could also ask all of you to come back, maybe in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you could open your eyes and come back to the here and now, where you are sadly an adult, in an adult's world, and your favorite companion being a laptop and bulletproof coffee. Has anything changed from when you were a child? What do you observe around you now? Is it the same? How does it make you feel? Better, worse, don't know? And say you're also really working hard towards a deadline, towards maybe work that really matters, which I'm sure all of you are. And suddenly this little guy comes up to you and they want you to play with them. And you could see by the look in their eyes, they're not going to let you off easy. Nope, they just not only want you to play with them, they want your whole self to themselves, your whole being, mind, body, and spirit. But you have your deadline. What do? How do you feel right now? Do you feel conflicted, anxious, maybe a little tense, worried, annoyed, angry maybe? And if you are, well, you're not alone, because that's exactly what the problem is which we're facing right now. That more than 78% of new parents face chronic caregiver burnout. And what that results in is that most of these parents end up contributing to brain-damaging toxic stress for the children, merely by not giving them their full attention, not merely by ignoring them. And why does this happen? Because parents themselves has no means of grounding their emotions when they're feeling them, and also seek support from their surroundings. Now, suppose while you are feeling conflicted, do I work, do I play? Or if somebody were to come to you and ask you how you are feeling, what do you need back then? Maybe a pat on the back, maybe some encouragement that, you're doing the best that you can and things will be okay. Maybe somebody to offer you their help while doing your work while you could play with a little kid, or maybe vice versa. While you could work, maybe they can take care of the kid and you don't have to feel guilty about leaving the poor guy hanging. And that's what we're proposing in our solution, where we want to facilitate sessions on nonviolent communication with new parents. What would this do? Parents would be able to observe themselves and make sense of their feelings, kind of maybe like how you might have right now. And what would that lead to? So that will lead them to be in touch with their needs and make a request to their immediate surroundings for help. And what would that lead to? So the kids, they would be able to meaningfully play with an adult, and the adults, they would not have to miss any work. And that's what we propose in our program, where in step 1, we would train new parents to practice NVC within themselves and their families. Step 2, these parents then form a self-organizing community where they can support each other even beyond the program. And step 3, these parents now can conduct these sessions independently in the communities. Because let's face it, even if we're not parents, who doesn't want to be heard? Or who doesn't want to somebody who they can ask for help, show little vulnerability, right? And that's what we believe would lead from connection to community. So what do we need? So it's just the 2 of us right now, really early stage startup. So we would love to expand our network. If you have any parents, NVC trainers, childcare specialists, or influencers who could get the word across, we would definitely love those connections. You can offer assistance, be it facilitate personal introductions to people in your networks, give advice, spread the word, tech support, any of the backend, which I don't know, people like an economist or maybe a CA might not exactly know. And finally, collaborations, be it in business partnerships or distribution channels. That's about us. We really thank you for your presence. And we're going to put the link in shortly. Namaste.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, I'm very excited to do this. We've been on this journey for 10 months or so, and I've been developing Media Message in the meantime as well. Media Message is on a quest to make the news less subjective. So what is subjectivity? About a year ago, I found myself within a really anxious period. The COVID crisis just kicked in the Netherlands, and I recognized that I was clicking on all kinds of sensational headlines all the time, and I couldn't help myself, and I couldn't stop doing it. So I was thinking, what is happening here? What is within these headlines? And I realized that it's sentiment, and sentiment comes from subjective language. So I thought, what do I need to do about this? So I started digging into what subjectivity actually is within language and why it is a problem. So I thought we need to do something about this, because nowadays we have so much information around us, and we need to have a way to select which information we are digesting, and also being conscious about what this information does to us. I think subjective language can distort people's understanding of the world and of the things around us. So I think that's a big problem. So I want to solve that. So how are we going to do that? We are going to do that by providing a user-friendly tool that gives consumers insights in subjectivity within news articles. So we developed a AI model trained on the edit data of Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a big platform with over 3 million Dutch articles, and every article is edited over 12 times by several editors, and all the edits are kept, and their aim is always to make an as highly neutral point of view as possible. So it's really interesting data to work with. So we launched the tool recently. It's the first MVP, and you're able to insert text in the input field and then run it and then see which words are subjective. It's not our aim to replace human evaluation, but just to help people understand this mechanism within news, especially online news, because that's where the clickbait is. So we're in the process of developing this tool further. So how it's going now, we just released the first product. If you are interested, you can contact me and I can give you early access. And in the future, we would like to be able to provide every Dutch internet user with this tool, either through the platforms, the media platforms themselves, ideally, or via open free web browser extension. So my ask to you would be, if you know any interesting people at big news media companies that can help in envisioning this future idea. And I would also be interested in people you know at universities that might be able to help us in this quest. I've already contacted some people at media companies, but you might be able to provide me with some other interesting people. Next to that, I would be also interested in data scientists or people that like to participate or to collaborate in this endeavor. So thank you very much for your time and attention.
Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation. I'm not going to show you any slides today because my story is all about connection and I want us to see each other. So maybe also put on your cameras now if you haven't done so far. And I want to start off with a warning. This pitch is not about me, it's about you. Imagine you're in bed and you wake up by the buzzing sound of your alarm clock. You smash it with your hand, wishing with every fiber of your body it's not true. It's not Monday morning, it's not 7 a.m., and it's not the start of a new working week. You get up, you walk through to the window, and you gaze out of it. You're trying to put yourself together, and you walk down the stairs to fetch yourself some breakfast. With a cracker in your stomach and a cup of coffee still in your hands, you walk out of the door. You get into your car, and you drive off to what will be one of the numerous days, weeks, and years of your work life that you'll be living. And sometimes you wonder, when did your life become the grind it is today? And I want you to know that though this story sounds pretty dramatic, it's more of the reality than we seem to be aware of. 1 out of 6 employees suffer from burnout symptoms every year. And only a poor 13% of people consider themselves actually actively engaged at work. And 25% of employees suspect they have a so-called bullshit job. Their work does not have any added value. The slogan of a well-known Dutch travel agency sums it all up. Travel with us and discover your smile. Not everyone hates their job, but rarely anyone would consider their work as a place that makes them smile, a place they want to go to. And we feel there's no way to change it. Although work leaves us disconnected, demotivated, and burnt out, we need to work, we need an income, and we need to be enabled to live our lives. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because somehow we don't see it. We're aware of the rising number of burnouts, but we keep sending these people to doctors and therapists to fix their shortcomings. We're all aware of the important challenges that we humans have in front of us, but we keep revving up shareholders' value and promote the people that bring us business instead of significance. And we keep flying in consultants and happiness officers and job coach our way into persistent dissatisfaction. We keep talking about missions, core values, and corporate responsibility as if it's something we can fix by writing it on a fancy visual. And then ping pong tables, fitness facilities, and healthy lunches are thrown into the mix to calm our minds and to convince ourselves that we are truly happy in our work. But we're not, and there is no sense of this. We're emptying ourselves instead of filling the world. Now, that's quite something, huh? And we must be very far away from real work happiness then. Or could it be that we're actually closer than we think? Could it actually be pretty straightforward and simple to change the way we work? I actually think it is, because deep down inside, we all know what is important, what we like, what unites us, and what brings us success. And that is where meaningful work comes in. Over the last 3 years, I've been running workshops to help people on their personal missions towards meaningful work, to help them find out what matters to them, how they can break through their own limitations, and how a meaningful career can actually be built. And it confirmed my hypothesis. Achieving work happiness doesn't need to be that hard. By putting the why question first and by creating a safe human environment, I was able to help thousands of people on their way towards more meaning in their work lives. And since it was so great to help individuals with their personal paths, I think it's now time to crack it up a notch. It's time to implement meaningful work in organizations. because you can do it too. And the way we're going to do this is by taking a simple, humane, and applied approach. We're going to prototype work. In this next generation and proven change methodology, employees determine their own change goals and test and experience their design changes directly. So how would that work? First, we start off simply by a good conversation. How do you experience your work? What does meaningful work mean to you? Then we facilitate team sessions in which we identify the tensions that employees experience to find out what's keeping them from functioning their best way. Then we design prototypes, solutions to overcome the tensions. Think about desired agreements, additions to the current way of working, or simply stripping down existing processes. Starting the next day, teams directly practice with their selected prototypes and start experiencing change right away. And every 2 to 4 weeks, the teams gather to evaluate the prototypes, to evaluate the outcomes, make adjustments, and go through the process again to make new prototypes. In this way, a repetitive improvement cycle is created and a steady improvement of work happiness is taking place. We can then scale up and the best solution, we can then scale up the best solutions and transfer the process to the customer. And that actually brings me back to you. If you feel that working in your organization could become more fulfilling, and if you know organizations or people within that are looking for ways to improve their employees' work experience, if you know organizations with an open mindset who dare to do small experiments with a bottom-up change approach, then let me know. Obviously, I prepared some answer forms to harvest your input, for which I want to thank you in advance. And I want to close down by asking you to help us change the world. Help us to unleash meaningful work. Thank you.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Richard. I live in San Luis Obispo, California, and I'm the founder of Sprylio. At Sprylio, we aspire to be an example of how a post-growth business can be built and governed. We're a worker-owned cooperative that seeks to meet the needs of all stakeholders within the means of the planet. In a startup, it's thrilling to share your adventure, make a positive impact on the world, and brainstorm ideas with fellow co-founders and team members. At Sprylio, our mission is to help purpose-driven entrepreneurs find their co-founders and build a startup team. You know, it's hard enough to find a co-founder for your typical growth-focused startup. When I began my startup journey, I found it even more challenging to find a purpose-driven co-founder who shares my passion and values while also complementing my personality and skill set. If you're looking to connect with like-valued people, networking sites like LinkedIn or AngelList or Co-Founders Lab capture and present a narrow set of attributes, like a person's skills, experience, and achievements. While these attributes are relevant, I'm also very interested in what are you passionate about? What are your values? What impact do you want to make on the world? What type of work culture do you thrive in? Sprylio seeks to answer these questions by capturing a holistic profile of our members, their background, purpose, values, preferred work culture, personality profile, etc., which we then use to curate relevant matches and introductions. In other words, Sprylio acts as a personal, purpose-driven matchmaker. We aspire to make our users' experience very simple. So, for example, step 1, upon sign-up, users tell Sprylio about their background, purpose, values, and preferred work culture. Step 2, each week, if they'd like to make a connection, they share their calendar availability. Step 3, Sprylio then matches them for a one-to-one video call. Here are our milestones. The first milestone has been to verify the value proposition. Do purpose-driven founders want Sprylio to help them find a co-founder? Can we enroll founders on our journey? To test this, we created a sign-up page, and here it is. At the top is our value proposition: find a co-founder and build a purpose-driven startup. The call to action is join our early access program. We capture where they are in their startup journey. their purpose, derived from the 17 UN sustainability goals, their high-level skill set, and where they live. I'll review results from this value proposition test in a moment. The second milestone has been to initiate a stream of MVPs to test and learn which user experiences and matching services are founders willing to pay for. Let's look at the test results from the first milestone. In 3 months, we received 400 signups worldwide across 40 countries. What purposes are driving our founders? The top 5 are climate, then education, health and well-being, income and work, and ending poverty and hunger. We found an even distribution of roles in our signups, which will be perfect for building balanced teams. Here's the distribution of signups by country. The most significant number of signups were from India, US, UK, Canada, France, and Germany. As a participant in this PGE incubator, we're not giving pitches today, to ask for venture capital. Rather, my hope is to do some real-time, purpose-driven matching today between you and myself. If you're excited about building a post-growth startup, as I've described Sprileo, if you care about building non-extractive companies, if you're passionate about helping others build purpose-driven teams, if you prefer a work culture that is both fun and focused on positive impact, if you value authenticity, balance, compassion, and contribution, I would love to connect with you. I'm open to engaging with advisors, potential co-founders, business partners, or collaborators, and volunteers. Thank you. I look forward to meeting you.
I just want to thank you all for coming, because of course you all took time out of your busy schedules. That's not a small ask. So thank you so much for taking the time to come here and check out what we're doing and also what our founders are doing.
With this
I like that. I like that.
And each other. Oh yeah, let's move a little bit, and with the moving, let's
wave.
See you soon. Great job, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, Melody.
Ciao, ciao. Dui, dui. Bye, bye. Kwaheri.
Dui, dui.